I always wonder if you guys catch little bits of things that I say just before it goes live, because it always takes just a smidge longer than I think it's going to. So I'm always going, is it going to go live? What's it doing? Is it working? So, Luddite, basically. And for those of you who don't get the historical reference, that's probably a good thing. Anyway, it is Wednesday, September 29th, 2021 at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means it is time for Women in Business. And I'm really excited to be here with you today. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about on this topic, which is why women should support other women, which was inspired by a couple of things that happened in the Women in Garment Decoration group, which I will talk about a little bit later. If you have not been in that group, I always will take the chance to put the URL up so everyone can see it. And if you haven't joined us, come join us. We're a good group. We're definitely supportive, and it's a good tribe to be a part of, I think, anyway. So please come join us. The other thing I wanted to mention real quickly before I get to the main topic of today's little show here is I'm looking for someone who might be able to make me an intro video for the beginning of this show. I tried to do it myself. I ain't gonna lie, I stink at it. It's not my talent set. I have many talents, that is not one of them. So I'm looking for someone who is good with images and making cool videos, something similar to if you were familiar with the Vendor Voices intro that we had for Applique Getaway, something similar to that. If that is something that you do, or if you have a talent in that area, please get in touch with me and we can talk price and whatever you might need. You can email me, since this is the email that I have in my banners here, you can email me at that email. And I really hope somebody takes me up on this because I need the help. I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, I have a lot of talents. Anything visually artistic ain't one of them. So that's just something that I have come to understand. And hello, Tanya. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you joining us. So today I want to talk about women supporting women. And this is not, I understand, and some of you are probably rolling your eyes and going, geez, will she never get off this topic? She talks about it all the time. I do, because it's important, because it's a topic we need to keep coming back to, because this show is Women in Business, because any number of things. And so I'm going to keep hitting this topic, and I'm sorry if it gets boring. I try to talk about just different aspects of it. I try to not say the same things every time, but I will in some instances, because some of them are just bedrock truths that need to be said over and over so we all get it. But the one thing that I did want to say, Tanya says, if no one here responds, Julie Fredrickson may be able to help. That would be cool. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Tanya. And that's in regard to the video. So the reason that I brought this topic up is because something happened in the Women in Garment Decoration Facebook group, which happens fairly regularly when I post anything about, hey, nominate people for this award that's coming up, or nominate people for this recognition, or whatever it is. And what happens is I post the link and I say, we really need to do this, this is important, and then crickets. Now, that doesn't mean that people aren't nominating. Maybe they are, and they're just not commenting. But I doubt that's the case. I think what happens most times is people either think they don't know anybody, or they look at the nomination form and they think, oh, wow, that's a lot of info and I don't have that info, so they don't do it. And the result is that a lot of times the slate of awardees is white and male. And if we want to change that, part of our responsibility as women is to nominate other women, to nominate women we know that are kicking ass, who are in whatever the parameters are for the award that's in question. I nominated, I think, 3 or 4 women for the Women in Screen Printing Awards that Screen Printing Magazine did. And one of my nominees was selected as an awardee. And I gotta say, that feels really good because it was like, okay, I know these women, they're amazing. I did something to put them out there and they made it in a way. And it has nothing to do with me. I mean, I'm fully aware that I had nothing to do with the awesomeness of the women that I nominated. I just pointed it out. And sometimes that needs to happen because as much as we want to believe that everybody notices how amazing we are and everybody's paying attention to what we do, they aren't. Probably a lot less than we think they are most of the time. So we need to boost each other up. We need to put each other in the spotlight. We need to nominate each other for awards, and we need to promote each other's businesses, and we need to speak to people in power about, hey, this person would be good for this job, or she'd be good for this promotion, or whatever it is. We need to do all those things. And I understand those things aren't always comfortable. And I understand sometimes you get the attitude that nobody gave you a leg up or nobody's helping you, so why should you help other people? I read something today. I was doing research for this for what I think I want to say. One of the articles, this is interesting. My internet seems to be futzing. That's fun. Was that insecure people don't promote others. I thought that was really interesting. And I also thought that was very accurate. If you're secure in yourself, if you're secure in your abilities, then you'll help other people get a leg up too, because you don't feel like it's competition. And this necklace is really driving me nuts because my scar is not centered on my chest. And so I'm trying to get the necklace centered, but it can't really center over the scar, and it's really annoying me. Anyway, if you're listening to the podcast version of this someday, you'll have to go watch the video, I guess, to see me futzing with my necklace, which is really annoying. I understand. Anyway, not the point. So why it's important is because historically, if you start with a deficit, which women did because we couldn't vote for years, we weren't allowed to work outside the home for years, we were basically considered property for centuries. We couldn't have custody of our own children. We couldn't manage our own money. We couldn't get credit cards. We couldn't sign for loans. We couldn't do all this stuff. So we're starting with a deficit. So the way that you help erase a deficit is by giving the people that are operating under the deficit a leg up. And yes, sometimes that's affirmative action. Sometimes that's specialty programs. Sometimes that's maybe lowering the requirements slightly to allow people who historically wouldn't be able to take advantage of certain programs the ability to take advantage of those programs. And you can argue the rightness or wrongness of those things all day. That's not what I'm here to do. I don't really care if you think it's right or wrong. It's up to you what you think. What I know is that you can't, in an ideal world, it would be a level playing field, and we'd all start in the same place, and we'd all have the same opportunities and the same advantages, and we'd all be able to get to the same places easily. It's not a level playing field. Never has been. It still isn't. We've made progress, and progress is always to be celebrated and cheered, but it's not a level playing field. So we need to recognize that, and we need to figure out ways to address that issue and make the playing field more level. That's basically all I'm talking about here. And the first way that we can make the playing field more level is to recognize that it's not all about women promoting women, which I'm fully aware kind of contradicts the title of the show and what I said I was going to talk about, but it's a really good point, and I think we need to make it, which is it's power, not gender, that promotes people. So if you're in a business, or you're looking for an award, or you're looking for a promotion or a leg up, or you want to get business in your town or get into the school system or whatever it is, the person who's going to be helpful to you is the person who has the power to get you in the door, to nominate you for the promotion, to approve your promotion, whatever that is. And that may not necessarily, not just historically, but still today, it may not necessarily be a woman. So I have no clue if there are any men watching this. I have no clue if there's any men that will ever watch this. But here's the thing, guys. If you're in the position of power, you need to take the responsibility to help people who have historically been disadvantaged get their shot. That's as simple as I can say it. And I know a lot of men feel like not a lot of men, some men feel like there's a war on white males, or that they're being penalized because of who they are, or their ethnicity, or their sex, or whatever it is. And I don't think that's what it is. Nobody's trying to deny you your opportunities, and no one is standing in your way. We're just saying we'd like the same opportunities, and we need some help to get there. So power, not gender, promotes people. So if you're the guy in the corner office, then make it part of your mandate that you're going to help women get the office next to yours, that you're going to recognize and promote people of color. That's how we level the playing field. The ultimate goal should be to get us all on the same footing and give us all the same opportunities, so all these stupid arguments we keep having are gone, because there's no more barriers for anybody. And maybe that's a utopian dream. It's entirely possible. I have a lot of them. I'm not going to lie. But I think we have to start working for that. So if you are someone in a position of power, if you're a male or female, whoever you are, use that power to help people who have historically been disadvantaged get the chances that they need. That's how this works. And it's not hard to do. It's just uncomfortable sometimes. And it requires a change in thinking, and it requires accepting some uncomfortable truths. And we could do a whole show about accepting uncomfortable truths, and we might someday, we being me, because there is no mouse in my pocket. But anyway, power, not gender, promotes people. If you are in a position of power, use that power to help other people take steps up the ladder. And if you're a man, use that power to help people of color and women take steps up the ladder. Try to be aware of that. Not saying it always has to happen, and I'm not saying that you should promote someone for merit too, for ability. But all things being equal, if you can help a woman or a person of color out, do that. It doesn't cost you anything, and it may benefit you in the long run. Now, when we're talking about how women can support other women, there's a few things that you can do that can help make this goal or task or effort or whatever you want to call it a little bit easier. And the first one is take the work out of networking. And a lot of people, especially women, say, oh God, I hate networking. I hate going to networking things. I hate collecting a bunch of cards. I hate pushing my agenda on people. I just don't like it. Oh my God, I hate it. So don't do it. Don't do it that way. One of the interesting things I found, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about when I was covering this particular topic, and my voice seems to be going futzy. I don't know. It's been a crazy day. Anyway, one of the things that I've discovered is that when I'm passionate about whatever it is that I'm trying to network about, it's a lot easier to do. Like I've discovered, I have never, ever been one to be really comfortable approaching people I don't know about supporting something I'm working on, or even telling them who I am or introducing myself. I've always been pretty shy and a little reluctant to do that for a lot of reasons. I have self-esteem issues, a lot of stuff, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, what I've discovered is when I care about something, I'm perfectly willing to go out there and say, hey, this is me. I do this thing. I really think you could be part of it. I have approached complete strangers online. I've approached complete strangers in person and said, I do this show. It's called Women in Business. I think you have an amazing story. I think you could be really interesting on the show. Will you come and be on the show? That is something even 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have done. But it matters to me because I want to get the stories out there because it's important. So I don't think about, am I being pushy? And I don't think about, am I networking? And I don't think about, oh my God, what if they think I'm completely presumptuous? I just think about, I have this thing that I really care about and I think you could be an amazing part of it. And I want to tell you what it is. And sometimes it works out and the person comes on the show. Jay Bastel introduced me to someone online who's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. I met Jerry Lee Medeiros at Impressions Expo Fort Worth, and she's going to be on the show next week. If you don't ask, you don't get. That's part of it too. If I keep quiet about my show and I rely on other people to say, hey, she has a really cool show and you should go be on it, I'm going to get guests because I have really cool people around me who do help me promote the show. Thank you, and please keep doing it. But I have to take responsibility for that. If this is important to me, if I want it to be a thing that has weight and has power and has impact, then I have to put myself out there and say, I'm doing this thing and I'd really like you to be a part of it. And I have to be okay with the fact that some people are going to hear I'm doing this thing and go, yeah, you're a little show from nowhere and I don't care. Okay. So I move on to the next person. But the upside to this is I hear some amazing stories and I meet some amazing women and I make some amazing connections and some amazing friends and I add to my tribe and my posse or whatever you want to call it. And I don't know what the hands are doing here, but holy crap. Anyway, the important thing is if you're passionate about what you're doing, if you care about what you're doing, if you believe in what you're doing, it gets that much easier to walk up to others and say, this is what I'm doing. And if you don't like traditional networking things, if you don't like standing around with a glass of wine in your hand and exchanging cards, don't do it that way. You can network however you want. There's no set rule that says you have to do it in a room with a bunch of people in business suits at 5:30 p.m. on a Thursday. It doesn't have to be that way. You can do it however you want. That's the beauty of you make the choices. So if you feel better networking online, join a group like Women in Garment Decoration or any of the other millions of groups out there and do it that way. And keep in mind that the other half of networking is not just what can I get out of it, it's what can I give. How can you help people? What can you share? What value do you bring to the table? It can't all be gimme, gimme, gimme. I mean, it can, but you're not going to be as successful that way. So think about it in terms of a mutual reciprocity. I'm helping you, you're helping me. We're forming a connection. That, I think, is the important thing. Oh, and we're getting comments here. Let's see. I don't know who Facebook user is, but yes, I did find my passion, definitely. And Cindy, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Ghosta says, your power goes all the way to Sweden. Thanks for your work. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Tanya says, WIGD has been an amazing networking tool. BNI calls, giving givers gain, giving leads to getting. That's a lot of G's there, Tanya. Woo. But yeah, find the way that it works for you to network, whether it's BNI, whether it's a group like Women in Garment Decoration, whether it's building your own group, whether it's working on LinkedIn, which FYI, I have discovered LinkedIn is amazing. I did not know this. Check out what Jay Bassell is saying about LinkedIn. If you haven't, he's my LinkedIn guru. He's taught me a ton, and I am so, so grateful I took his classes in Fort Worth because I never would have known. So that's a little plug for Jay and Jessica, his partner. And that's something that you really need to have is the passion. You need to really care. And yes, Tanya's totally right. And passion helps. I used to hate talking to people. Me too, Tanya. I did. And the more you start caring about what you're talking about and the more you start seeing it making a difference, the less you hate doing it. Because you realize that, okay, I'm out here and I'm doing something that is making a difference, however tiny, and that's worth it. And that means more than whether I'm shy or whether I'm uncomfortable talking to strangers or whatever it is. So yes, definitely. Another thing to remember, and this is something that, excuse me while I fix my back support here. My back is a little bit touchy today. Connection building isn't one and done, which means if you're making a connection, you have to be in it for the long haul, because one of the worst things about networking and getting to know people is when it's clear that they're getting to know you, they're making a connection with you, so you can do this one thing for them, or you can support this one effort that they're putting out, and then they're done with you. They could basically care about what you think about or what you want, or what makes you happy or what you're looking for, or even what you're doing. They just want you for this one particular thing. So if you need to focus when you're networking on building relationships, on building connections that are going to last, which means there's, again, reciprocity. I'm helping you, you're helping me, we're exchanging ideas, we're supporting each other, we're putting opportunities in each other's way when that's possible to do, all those things. Because what happens for a lot of people, and I talk about this when I talk about building connections on social media too, is that a lot of people are in it for the hit they can get. I want this one thing, and then as far as I'm concerned, we're done. I got my thing, and great, and now we're done. The problem with that attitude is that you end up with a lot of bodies laying around you of people that you've discarded. And if you need to go back to any of those people later, you're going to have a much more uphill battle because you've burnt your bridges, so to speak. And burning your bridges is never a good idea if you can avoid it. You can't always avoid it, but if you can, do. And it doesn't mean, building a connection doesn't mean you have to be in each other's pockets. It doesn't mean that you have to talk every day. It doesn't mean that you have to share your innermost secrets. It means, hey, I recognize that you're someone that I want in my network, that I respect, and I'm going to treat you that way. I'm not going to treat you like you're disposable. I'm not going to treat you like you're a slot machine and I put a coin in and I get a reward. That doesn't work. And the thing is, most people who are reasonably intelligent can figure out if that's what you're doing pretty fast. And then their willingness to support you or respond to you goes way downhill. Because if you don't treat them with respect, if you don't treat them like they matter, then why should they treat you with respect or treat you like you matter? It's a simple question, but it's an equation that a lot of people don't think about. Lisa was apparently the one commenting earlier. She says, StreamYard hates me, LOL. I know you have found your passion and your drive is evident. I think that's true. And don't feel bad because StreamYard hates me too, Lisa. It was going funky earlier. So it is what it is. But just remember that when you're building connections, you need to be building for the long term. Think of it as building a house instead of putting up a tent. A tent comes down really easy. You pull a stake and it's gone. If you're building a house, it takes a hell of a storm or a wrecking ball to make it fall down most of the time, unless you're a really bad builder. So start building houses, start building lodges, start building cottages, whatever you want to call it. But start building things that are going to stand the test of time, so that in 2 years from now, if you need to refer to a connection or ask for a favor, you have a bank of stuff that's happened between you. And it doesn't have to be favors for favors, but just a bank of connection, whatever it is. Jokes, support for something that happened to that person, a tip or a hint, a nomination for an award, whatever it is. So there's a history between you. And it's not going to happen with everybody, and everybody's not going to be worth the effort, honestly. Some people you're just either not going to like, or you're not going to click, or they're not going to be willing to participate in a relationship with you. It happens. That's life. So, you aren't going to devote all this time and effort to every connection you make, but there will be those that will be worth it. And when they are, take the time to do it. And remember that when you're building connections, you're building them for the long term. And I like this from Wendy. We tell new clients we are in this for the long haul. We strive to treat people the way we want to be treated. Yes, and I think that's a reassuring statement to almost anybody that you're forming a connection with. I want this to be more than momentary. I want this to last for more than this particular interaction. Is it harder? Yeah, it's going to take more effort. It's going to take more thought. But the rewards are worth it, because you actually will build friendships and you'll build support networks, and you'll have them long term. Because if you're always scrambling to build support for whatever you're doing, if you're always scrambling to build a group of people who have your back, then you can't spend time on the stuff that you really care about, because you're always scrambling to build up the support. If you invest in other people, if you invest in the connections, then you will find the support is there when you need it, which apparently is harder to say than you would think. I don't know. So this is an Erin Montgomery saying that I have sort of adapted for this podcast, this video cast, whatever we're calling this show, which is raise other women's boats. And again, this is not just, yay, you did a good job, pat on the back. This is, I found an opportunity that I think would be great for this person. I'm going to tell them, oh, look, there's an award here that needs nominations. I think this person would be awesome for this award, so I'm going to nominate them. I think this person would be a really good resource for you. And I know you two don't know each other, so I'm going to introduce you on LinkedIn or Facebook, or I'm going to write an email and introduce you. All those things can be ways to raise other women's boats. Again, referring back to what I then definitely use that to raise other women's boats. And one of the things that we also need to be aware of is that there's a lot of cultural baggage around women supporting women. We've all heard of the queen bee who got her place at the top of the totem pole and doesn't want to help anybody else. We've all heard of, women are catty, or they're bitchy, or they're territorial, or whatever it is. We've all heard of that. That's mostly bullshit. I'm sorry, but it is. So, there are women who are like that. There are people who are like that. And most of the time, as I said earlier, it's insecure people who aren't comfortable in the place they're in, or aren't secure, for lack of a better word, in their abilities or the fact that they've made it to where they've made it. And so they're concerned about other people taking their glory, so to speak. there's nothing you can do about those people. You can't make them be secure. You can't make them be comfortable with this stuff. You can't. And the worst thing you can do, and I speak from experience on this one, people, is dim your light to make people who are insecure feel more secure. Don't do that, because it's not a winning play, honestly, because you don't make the other people feel more secure. You just make yourself less enticing and you make yourself less, basically. It's not a winning game. Don't do it. Just don't. That's basically all I have to say about that. But what you can do is what you can do. And we all kind of, a lot of us, I think, look around and we go, well, I don't work in an organization. I have my own business. So how do I promote other people? If you work with other women-owned businesses in your community, can you pass along when you know there's an opportunity that might work for them? If you work primarily online, can you pass along opportunities to other people in your network? Can you help showcase what other people are doing that's cool or fun? Can you nominate people for awards? Can you bring people to the attention of someone who could maybe help them or promote them? These are all things we can do. Just simply helping somebody else get their message out there is a way to raise their vote. If you know somebody who's doing, I know, like I've said, there have been a number of women, and I'm so grateful for this, who have promoted this show, who have brought me guest ideas, who have been guests, who have written letters of introduction or introduced me to someone on Facebook or on LinkedIn or wherever it was and said, this person is doing a great show and I think you'd be a really good guest and you should be on it. This is something that we all need to do more of. And we need to be aware of, if an opportunity comes along and it doesn't fit us, maybe it fits somebody else we know. So we all need to be aware of passing these opportunities along and making sure that the people who need to see these things see them. It's important. It matters. And the whole crap, and I love what Lisa says here. Lisa says, I try hard to avoid those type of people, meaning insecure people. They suck the joy from life. And she's totally right. Insecure people are so caught up in their own neuroses that they can't do what they really should be doing, which is working on themselves and figuring out how to best use their talents. They're more scared that somebody's going to come in and take whatever hard-won thing they've earned or not earned, as the case may be. So don't be those people. Be the people who are secure enough in the abundance in the world, in your own talents and abilities, and in the support of those around you, that you can help other people rise. And it can be in small ways. It can be as simple as telling someone that you think they wrote a good article, or you liked the live they did, or you really admired the mug they made yesterday, or whatever it is, or the LinkedIn post they wrote last week, or their appearance on this podcast, which FYI is another thing you can do. Share when women are on podcasts or on this show. Share them. Share the information, share the links, make sure that as many people as possible see this stuff. And I'm not just saying that because I want you to share my show, although, not gonna lie, I want you to share my show. Raising my own boat. But it's important. And I think we need to be much more aware of the opportunities that are available to help others. And we need to take those opportunities and act on them. Because a lot of what happens is we get busy. Some people get bitter and they say, well, nobody helped me, or, nobody was giving me when I first started, nobody was giving me a leg up, blah, blah, blah. And that may well be true. But we have to stop that cycle somewhere. It's like if your dad hits you and then you hit your kids, it doesn't make the pain of you being hit any less. and you've extended the pain of being hit to another generation. Learn to do better. If you weren't treated well, learn to do better. I can't say it any other way. And I think one of the things I've learned, let me put it this way. One of the things I've learned is that being bitter over bad treatment is never going to get you anywhere. Because the person who treated you badly doesn't care and has probably moved on. And if you're stuck and it keeps you from helping others, then the only one you're hurting is yourself, really, because you've become less than you could actually be. I want to be the most actualized, best person I can be. It's taken me a hell of a long time to get here, but I want to be the best person I can be. And that means, despite the fact that I haven't always gotten the best deal, I'm going to try to give the other people that I encounter the best deal I can give them. That's just it. That's flat the bottom line of all of this. You have to be your best self, and your best self, I believe, for all of us, is a person who helps others. So that is, and yes, I like this from Cindy. You have to be your biggest cheerleader so people know what you are cheering for. I think that's true too. Part of raising other women's votes is raising your own vote. Because if you fall into the trap of I'm helping everybody but me, then you're buying into the idea that women should be self-sacrificing, which honestly, I think is a bunch of bullshit. Women shouldn't have to be any more self-sacrificing than any other gender, honestly. You have a perfect right to want to promote yourself. You have a perfect right to want to succeed. You have a perfect right to want to get to your goals and your dreams and to be the most actualized person you can be. Now, hopefully, on the way to getting those goals for yourself, you also help other people get there as well. And other people can be men, it can be women, it can be, well, okay, pretty much those are your choices. But, it doesn't, but there is something to be said for focusing on helping women. That's not to say that men don't need help and don't deserve help, because they do. But institutionally, sorry, men, you have a lot of that help already built in. So focusing on women or people of color who historically have not necessarily had the same chances is a good thing, in my opinion. So the next thing I want to talk about is letting go of outdated perceptions. And what I mean here is the idea that the woman who gets to the top is the queen bee and she doesn't want anybody else to get there beside her. Or women are catty, or women are territorial, or women are bitchy, or women are too emotional, or la-di-da-di-da, a million different outdated perceptions that we have about how things work. Or networking is bragging and you shouldn't do it. Or, reaching out and telling other people what you've done, or promoting your own work, or promoting the fact that you won an award, or just saying, yay, I did this thing and I'm really proud of it, is bragging, and you should let other people do that for you. You shouldn't do it yourself. That's all crap. I'm sorry. If you sit around and wait for other people to toot your horn, you're going to hear a lot of other horns going and yours is going to be silent. It's not to say that people won't help you, because people will. If you build a good coterie of people around you, you will get help and support and applause and all the things that you want. But you need to take charge of it. You need to step out and say, I'm doing this thing and I think it's important and I'd like you to be a part of it. And you need to be okay when the person that you say that to says, yeah, not interested. And then you need to go on to the next person. And maybe you get 50, yeah, not interested, before you get one person who says yes. It's life. Put on your big girl panties and deal with it. But we need to get rid of this whole idea that women are territorial or women are too emotional or women are catty or women are competitive or all this stuff. Are there women out there like that? Yeah. Are there men out there like that? Yeah. Should we avoid those people? Yeah. And sometimes you don't know until you're into it, and that's just how it works. But being aware of what the perceptions are, being alert to how people act, and I think this is a huge thing, is, people can talk a good game and people know the buzzwords and people know the things to say, but what are they actually doing? Look beyond what the titles are, look beyond what the rhetoric is that they're spouting, and see what they're actually doing. Are they actually living what they're telling you they care about? Is it actually important to them? And most of the time, if it's not, you'll find that out. So listen to your gut about these things too, and pay attention, because there are people out there who will jump on whatever the latest thing is, the latest buzzword, the latest fad, which women's issues have unfortunately become one of those things, and they will tell you that they really care and they're genuinely concerned. And then you look at what they're actually doing, and it's not necessarily what they're telling you they're doing. And so you need to be aware of those things. I like this from Cindy. If y'all do not tell or announce, I would never know. I want to know. I want to be happy and cheer others on. I think that's totally true. And that's another perception of women, is that we tend to hide our lights under a bushel. Women almost really can't win on this issue, because we're either too quiet and we don't promote ourselves enough, or we brag and we're brassy and we promote ourselves too much. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground for this, which I think is wrong. I mean, I grew up being told that you didn't promote yourself because boys didn't like girls who bragged, and men didn't like women who were too pushy, and you were supposed to wait quietly and eventually you would get your due. Which, if there's anyone in the entire history of the world that has happened for, I would love to meet that person and have them on the show, because I honestly don't know who that would be. If you sit and wait for other people to recognize you, you're going to be sitting and waiting forever. It's not that people won't recognize you. It's not that people won't reach out to help you, but you have to take charge of whatever it is that you want to have happen in your life. If you care about something, if you care about advancing women's issues, if you care about advancing women, if you care about, even writ small, if you care about promoting your particular group of female friends, then you have to take action. And you have to do things that are a little uncomfortable. And you have to let go of nice girls don't talk about themselves. Nice women don't talk about money. Nice women don't talk about what they do. That you're supposed to be quiet and you're supposed to wait until you're called on. Don't wait until you're called on. Stand up and say, I know how to do this. I can do this better than you guys. I have this project that I'm really passionate about, and I want you all to know about it. What Cindy said is totally true. If we don't tell other people what we're doing, if we don't tell other people what we've accomplished, then they don't know. And if they don't know, then they can't be part of it, and they can't learn from it, and they can't appreciate it. This all matters. And there's a whole host of these outdated perceptions that are getting in the way of us doing what we need to do to be successful, and that's wrong. And yeah, are we going to run into the queen bees who got to the top and don't want anybody else to get there? We sure as hell are. I've worked for a few, and it sucks. I'm just going to be honest. It totally sucks. But again, insecurity. I got here and now I'm scared that if I let anybody else up here with me, then I'm going to lose my position, or people are going to figure out that I'm not special, or whatever it is. So instead of being secure and assuming that you can handle whatever comes, You decide that you're going to get your little oar and push everybody else off your platform. Sad, but it happens. And it circles back to what Lisa said, avoid those types of people because there's no percentage in it. You want to work with people. You want to surround yourself with people who are secure in themselves, who know what their talents and abilities are, and who also know what they're not good at. And that means letting go of the idea that we don't talk about what we can do well. It means letting go of the idea that if you get on the top, somebody else can't be there too. And there's a lot of things that we need to understand. And one of them is that we can't say what we are. That we have to wait for other people to anoint us as the guru or the role model or whatever it is. And that's bullshit too. I'm sorry, but it is. We get to say what we are. We get to say what we're working toward. We get to say. And that's a huge, powerful thing when you say, I care about this issue and I'm going to be a force for good. It's hugely powerful because it takes you out of yourself and it takes you out of the old outdated perceptions that you might have been fighting against, because suddenly it becomes really, really clear. This is important. If I don't make a stand, if I don't do everything I can to make this work the way I want it to, then I'm failing at what I need to do. And is everybody going to have a crusade? No. It might just be, I started a business and I just wanted to do really well. And I say it might just be, and that's a pejorative that I shouldn't have used. It might be that you started a business and you wanted to do really well, or that you are crusading for a new playground in your neighborhood, or you're crusading against the school dress code, or whatever it is, all these things. Because if you care about something, it takes you out of yourself and you're working for something bigger. And a lot of the insecurities and the outdated perceptions that we deal with go away because you don't have time for that shit, honestly. And I like this comment from Wendy. I'm going to put it up here. I am thankful to those women I worked for that were, in my mind, terrible bosses. I use them as an example of the type of boss I never want to be. I strive to be the type of boss I always wanted, someone who supports and uplifts me. And yes, I totally agree with that, Wendy. That's the best thing you can take away from working with people who are insecure or bad bosses or who won't let you get ahead, is learn from their example and strive to not be that kind of person. Totally. No experience is ever wasted. Sometimes the experience teaches you what you don't want or who you don't want to be, but that's not a waste. That's a good thing. So I totally like that. And the last thing I want to talk about when we're talking about supporting other women is find your tribe or support group. Could be online, could be a BNI group, could be a women's networking group, could be a group of neighborhood women who get together and have coffee, could be a mixed group of men and women who get together to support each other. And I think, honestly, the best groups are the mixed groups because we can learn from each other. And I'm not saying that only women are going to support you. I have known many men who are very supportive, who have helped me and offered me advice and connected me with people who have been helpful. So, just look for people who are secure in themselves, who are working toward goals, who have passions that they care about, who are trying to make the world a better place. If you can find those people, and it can, like I said, it can be small goals, it can be large goals, they can want to achieve world domination. Doesn't really matter. Not everybody wants world domination. I sort of do, but I'm reining it in because I'm starting to feel like a villain from a Marvel movie. But find those people. And again, women in garment decoration. The people who come to Applique Getaway are a great tribe. all that stuff. And spending time on, and never underestimate spending time with a group of people who love the same things that you love, who care about the same things that you care about. That's a great way to find your tribe and your support network. So that's another something that you can do. But I think it's really important that you find people who help you get to your goals and who support you when you're having bad days and who show up when you need them to show up. The people who will nominate you for award, or the people who will connect you with someone who could help you with a goal or a promotion or a job or solve a problem or whatever it is. You need to be aware of all the connections that you have and start knitting those connections into a fabric that eventually is going to be able to hold you up. And be aware that you are also part of the fabric of other people's connections and that your job is to hold them up. And it all becomes this mutual reciprocity thing. And we all hold each other up and we all lift each other's boats up and we all promote each other and we all help each other get ahead. Don't think of it necessarily as a tit for tat sort of situation. Sometimes the ledger is going to be 100% on your side and 0% on the other person's, and that's okay. We're not keeping score. We're not putting entries in a book. We're just trying to help other people. We're trying to give what we can give to make the world a better place. And if we all did that, can you imagine what this world would be like? I know, utopian dream again, but I'm going to keep pushing it because if we don't keep pushing it, we're never going to get there. That's pretty much all I have to say for today. And honestly, it's been a rough day. My sink is leaking and I'm finding yellow jackets in my house and I need to call a plumber and an exterminator. So it's been just a fun week so far. Anyway, next week, hold on to your hats, people, because there actually is going to be a guest. I know it's been so long. Jerry Lee Medeiros from the Embroidery Nerd Group is going to be joining me, and we're going to talk about her life and her inventions and anything else she wants to talk about. And I think it's going to be a really fun and exciting show. She has quite a story, and I'm really, really excited to get back to having guests. I will also put out a plea here. I have several people I'm talking to who are hopefully going to be guests, but I would like to always, always ask all of you who watch this show to, if you know anyone who would be a good guest, if you can make an introduction so I can connect with that person, I would be really, really grateful. I would appreciate it very much because honestly, I've kind of run out of friends to ask to be on the show. No, that's not really true. But I mean, there are people that you know of that I don't. So the wider the pool of people that I'm looking at as potential guests, the better off I think we all are. So if you know someone that could potentially be a guest that you think would be a good guest, and I like this from Cindy. Cindy says, oh, that's great. Looking forward to her being your guest. I think Jerry Lee is going to be a lot of fun. I'm pretty excited about it too. So that is all for today. I'm going to end just a little bit early. Thank you, everybody, for listening as usual. Thank you for being here. I so appreciate it. And I will see you all, we hope,